It's Ryan Winter here. Just getting ready to go live here, just getting set up. Sorry I'm late. Don't hold it against me, or do. All right. 1 second here. All right. Let's see here. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Hopefully you guys are all doing good, staying bundled up. I know it's you got all these different COVIDs running rampant, and it's kind of crazy out there. Drinking a root beer here, Fitz. Just don't tell my boss. All right. All right. So, share my presentation here. We'll get started. All right. So basically, I want to go over a couple things. So, start with the introduction. Start with questions, the applicant tracking system, what it is, job descriptions, some resume samples. I'll give you kind of some good ones, some bad ones to show you kind of what is going to work with the applicant tracking systems, some that aren't going to work with the applicant tracking systems, and then some did you know, and then we'll kind of hop into some Q&A, and then we'll kind of go from there. So let's get started here. So I'm excited. So I want to introduce myself. So my name is Ryan Winter. I'm the owner, founder of Rhino Resumes. Started this company on a whim. It was a hobby. I couldn't hold down a job. I got terminated like the Terminator from a lot of jobs out there, and just was a menace. And just for whatever reason, I learned a lot of different things from a lot of different jobs out there, to where I became good at writing my own resumes. So for whatever reason, there became a time that I was out there begging people to let me write their resumes for free. And I started writing resumes for people for free. It took off because I was so good at writing my own, landing jobs, landing interviews. I would get 5 to 7 interviews a week. I would land those jobs, and for whatever reason, I would hold the job for 3 or 4 weeks, and sorry, Ryan, you're just not a good fit here, and now we're letting you go. All right, no big deal. I got a new one that starts tomorrow. I can make a joke at it because here I am starting my own thing. So yeah, so here I am 7 years later running my own thing. I've got a few people that work for me, and I'm excited to be able to share my story with you. But anyways, moving on. I'm bored of that already. So my goal here today is, and what I do on an everyday basis, is to share that the applicant tracking systems are not the Freddy Cougars or Krugers. They're not the Jason Voorhees. They're not the Grinches. They're set in place for a reason. So we'll get into that. Okay, so let's get into that. All right, so let's talk about some of these questions, and we're going to get into them later, because obviously, without understanding and seeing some visuals, we really can't answer some of these. So I want to be able to explain some of these for you. I want to open a new window. Give me 1 second here. All right. I'm just going to close that for now. All right. So how to write a resume with without a professional. We'll get into that, okay? We'll explain that later as I'm jotting and going through some of the resumes with you. What is the best resume format? We'll explain that as well. Buzzwords, what are they? How they're important when they come to the ATS. How do you know what buzzwords to use? PDF formats, are they ATS friendly? We'll get into that as well. How long should your resume be and why? There's a lot of people out there that say, you know, a resume should be one page, which is nonsense. And we'll get into the reason why. So can ATS read text boxes? We're going to get into that reason later as well. So what are the sections on the resume you should include? So we'll zoom in here so that way you can kind of let's see here. So okay, so summary section. The very top of the resume should always include, let's see, can I zoom in here? All right, here we go. Okay, so the very top of the resume should always include personal information such as name, address, contact, phone number, and email address. After personal information, the first section should include a short summary paragraph. In addition, the summary shows that the candidate can construct basic sentences. It may seem a surprise that people cannot assemble simple sentences with basic grammar. You'd be surprised. So some of the resumes we get, it looks like a hoarder's house. And, you know, I have to be honest with them and let them know, hey, look, you wrote an objective statement here. Where's the summary? And they're like, what do you mean? Well, there's no summary here. What is a summary? And I have to explain that. So a summary is basically an accumulation of your overall encompassing of your whole resume, of your encompassing of your skills throughout your whole resume, and basically of what you do. So, but at the end of the day, it needs to be error-free. And so some hiring managers will not consider you for candidacy if they even find one mistake. And it's true. If they find a mistake in your resume, they will ixnay and disqualify you. So let's move forward to how the ATS works. Let's zoom out here. Okay. That didn't work very well. Okay, so keywords. What are ATS keywords? What is an ATS? So let's go into what an applicant tracking system is actually before we talk about this. What is an applicant tracking system? Well, it's a software as a service, and what it is it's a gatekeeper. Basically, it's a software as a service meant to scan resumes for specific words or phrases as identified as requirements for a specific position. So they're there in place to scan resumes and understand the qualifications, whether or not an applicant matches up to a job. So an applicant tracking system is meant to basically be there as a gatekeeper to keep people out of that don't qualify for the job. So, for example, you've got a vice president of sales job. Okay, so they don't want, for example, you don't want somebody who is in lawn care cutting lawns who has no sales experience spending time applying for a vice president of sales job, getting through the applicant tracking system when when realistically you have other people that could be potentially a better fit. So the applicant tracking system is there in place because it's there to filter out those people that may not be a pertinent fit. So what it's going to do is it's going to filter those people out automatically. So we're going to filter out that person that is in lawn care that has no experience in sales whatsoever. So because he has no sales experience, he has no keywords related to the job itself. So realistically, we're going to move him on and send him a rejection letter. So as the applicant tracking system sounds, it is, as it sounds, an applicant tracking system. So it tracks the applicant through the process. So it tracks the applicant through the process of the hiring process. So that way, everybody is on even keel, even field. So, for example, it's going to let them know that somebody has taken their drug screening, or it's going to let the next person know that they filled out their W-2 forms. But on top of that, it's also going to allow them to add in specific related key terms, specific related information. It's going to allow them to add in job recs and track the candidates through the process and fill jobs. And once those people get through, it's going to send them to an actual person. So basically, the applicant tracking system is kind of a gatekeeper to getting people to an actual physical person. So ATS, how they work in keywords. ATS keywords are specific words or phrases employers identify as requirements for a specific position. Therefore, you should use them on your resume to help you get noticed by employers. Some ATS automatically compare the entirety of your resume content to the job description. Let's see, recruiters can then sort applicants based on how well they match the job description. The ATS Talio can compare your resume to the job description and assign a match rate known as rec rank. So what I've noticed is some of these applicant tracking systems will rank people out of either an 8 out of a 10 or a 100 score. So as this shows, 80%. So it's almost like you're going to school. You know, an 80% is like a B, a 70% is like a C. So at this, it shows what minimum score do you recommend. Any score above 80% is good to increase your chances of passing the ATS screening. Maximum possible match score is 100%. So obviously, the closer you are to 100%, the more likely you are to getting to a human to review your resume. So the applicant tracking system is going to scan your resume and give your resume a quality score, or a, as it calls, a rec rank. Therefore, out of either a 10 or a 100. And the closer you are to either a 10 or 100, the more likely you are to getting to a human to having your resume reviewed. So let's move on. Okay, so as you see here, here's a job description, and it gives some of the keywords here. As you see, these are some of the keywords that are going to come up in some of the job descriptions, and these are some of the keywords that would be, relevant to the applicant tracking system. So as this shows here, senior marketing digital app and game services marketing. So when you're looking at your resume to build out a resume here, to maximize your opportunity for building out a resume, you're wanting to focus on these keywords here, because obviously it's showing it's showing you the keywords here. So when you're looking at this, you're looking at all the keywords that it's already giving you. It's giving you senior manager, digital, which is a keyword. So anything related to digital. So you want to focus on anything related to digital in your resume. You want to focus on app and game services, marketing. So, for example, in this, man, why is this messed up? Fit. Okay. There we go. Okay. Okay. So for this, it's showing marketing. It's highlighting marketing here. Okay. So strategic marketing campaigns. That's a keyword. Okay. So develop customer segmentation, life cycle marketing. That's another one. Anything, it's kind of like in English. You always had those sentences. You had to come up with the what is it? You in high school you had to come up with what was the main key word in that sentence. You had to underline it. Remember that? Okay, so in this, you're going to come up and say, okay, what is the main focus word here? Okay, develop customer segmentation and lifestyle marketing plan. So in here, you're looking at life cycle marketing plan. So life cycle marketing is going to be your focus here. And that's what you want to focus on. That's another key word. So they're already giving you the keywords here. So you just need to really focus on that and really understand what they're really looking for when they're looking for it. So, and they give it to you even within the job description itself. So with me, what I would actually do is I would actually, let's take a sample. Let's take a sample here, okay? So, because we're gonna move forward here into the samples. So let's open up this resume here. Okay, so this is a good resume, okay? So as you see here, see how we have up here in the headline, we have some of the keywords here. So this would be a good resume for business development, something for Salesforce as well. Somebody who's focusing on Salesforce, somebody who's focusing on trying to get into a Salesforce or new business development. See how we've got, motivated strategic sales professional as well. You've got more here. You've got your summary here as well. So we're kind of hopping back into, let's go back into our questions here, because I want to go back into how to write, what is the best format. Let's see. So what are the section on the resume you should include? Well, okay, so the sections you should include: a headline. Any headline that you include should include, usually when you're including your headline, it should be focused on more or less. Let's go into, so let's just say, okay, so see how the senior manager digital, so usually what any of the professionals in resume writing would say is taking the title of the job that you're actually wanting to focus on and kind of configuring that into your headline up here. So senior manager may go up here. So senior manager, then you've got digital app and marketing. And you don't have to completely. You don't have to completely verbatim copy it, but it's always good to utilize the title up in your headline, because a lot of the resume writers for the companies out there will state that that's a good idea for your header, because it helps you giving the reader of the company a good sense of the type of job that you're wanting to go after. And it gives them a sense of the job that you're actually wanting to go after. Plus, it's going to pass through the applicant tracking system based on that. Then the next section that you want to focus on. Okay, so what are the sections on your resume you should include? Core competencies, keywords, anything related to your specific industry, senior manager, digital app and marketing. So anything related to marketing, life cycle marketing, marketing and app development, something of that nature. You really want to focus on anything related to your development of anything in digital app and marketing. So next is your professional experience. You want to focus on that section. Obviously, this is a 2-page resume. Education, technology experience. That's very, very, very important. You want to give an understanding of what experience you have, especially if you're a technological person. Say you have technology experience, okay? So maybe you're an architect, or maybe you're a DevOps person, or maybe you're a product manager, a program, or you're a product manager or a project manager. Well, they're going to want to understand what you know. So maybe you have experience with JavaScript, you have experience with C#, C++, you have experience with SQL, in all different types of things. Well, if they're not listed in here, that's going to be a big red flag. Well, how do I know what you have experience with if you don't label it in here? I don't have any idea what you have any experience with. So you need to label your technology experience. That's a big one. That's a big deal nowadays. Now, even if you're a senior level executive, and I know some of you may be senior level, it's still important to put them in there. Maybe you don't necessarily utilize them as much because you're not necessarily going to utilize those, but it's still pertinent to have those in there, because if you're in a senior level position, you can still have the tech talk to your peers to say, okay, well, when you're going to somebody and you're working with someone and they're coming to you and saying, well, we're working on a budget for a SQL project and we think it's only going to take us 120 hours. Well, I'm the boss here and I'm going in here and saying, well, that's not right. I've worked on a SQL budget and I'm thinking that this project's going to take us 350 hours because I've worked on a SQL project before. And in 120 hours seems just a bit skeet in my mind. So realistically, the companies are going to want to know that you can actually have those tech talks. That's why it's pertinent to have the technologies in there, even if you're in a C-level position. It doesn't matter. So the training is good, the software knowledge, memberships is good, because maybe you're affiliated with somebody in their in one of their groups. Maybe that is an opening for somebody to say, I know Joe Bob over at so and so. Oh, no kidding, I know them too. Wow, that's the reason why we hired you. Ding, ding, ding. What do we have for you, Johnny? We have a new job. But anyway, so these are very important things. So educational, technical, and training experience. Your education, and I usually like to, if you have, you know, your bachelor's degree or your master's degree, or maybe you have your Six Sigma or you have your PhD. I usually like to, you know, put a, you know, BS or MBA up here, or Six Sigma green belt next here, you know, or Six Sigma black belt, you know, or whatever. That way the reader already knows because it's next to your name. So that's going to be important. Those are important. So let's get back to this. Can the applicant tracking systems read text boxes? They cannot. And the reason being is it's very difficult for them to read text boxes, because at the end of the day, it's going to be very difficult for them to read text boxes because there's so many of them usually spread throughout. And not only that, but there's usually so much stuff shoved into a resume that has text boxes. So let me show you a resume that has a bunch of text boxes, just to give you a sense. Okay, so this one is one that is a no-go. This one, if you converted this, all of this stuff is going to shift down to the middle of the page. And this thing is messing up my document as it is. See how some of this is and not only this, but see how this is, there's columns here. These columns aren't going to look right. So if this parses to an applicant tracking system, what's going to happen is everything's going to shift to one. And it's all going to shift down the middle. And it's going to look tacky. See how up here you only have one piece over here? Well, that's what these applicant tracking systems are going to make the resume look like. You're going to have all this open space over here, and your resume is going to get rejected. Oh, and another thing that I want to go over, if your name is up here, save space on the first page, it's not going to see that you're that it's not. It's basically going to look at your application as this: experience, director of cognizant infrastructure services, and it's going to see maybe your name on the second page, you know, because obviously it's up here in the header, but on the first page it's not going to read that it has a name on the first page. For whatever reason, the applicant tracking systems don't read headers on the first page. So your name is not going to be there. So your name is going to be experience, director of cognizant. So the applicant tracking system is automatically going to reject you. So don't try to save space. One page resumes don't work. Okay, so let's go into that, because there is no such thing as a one page resume unless you're A, retired, or B, you're so entry level you have no experience. So if you're trying to cut out space and you want a one page resume, don't do it, because the applicant tracking system will reject your resume and you won't get any calls whatsoever. And not only that, you're going to do yourself such a disservice. You're going to be so frustrated at the end of the day. You're going to be like, why is my resume not working? What is going on here? Why is this not working? Because it's so frustrating. People come to me and be like, well, somebody told me this one page resume is the right thing to do. No, I don't know who told you that, but but they're wrong. It's not a good idea. 2 to 3 page resumes are fine. Now, if you're a consultant and you're on consulting opportunities to where you're jumping from contract to contract, I've seen 5, 6, 7, 10 page resumes because they're jumping from contract to contract every 6 months or every 3 months or 9 months or 12 months or a year and a half. That's okay. Those companies want to see that. But if they want to switch from a contract to a full-time job, then we have to switch that. So that's to give you an understanding of that. Let's go back into some of these other questions. PDF formats. Are they ATS friendly? They are not. Most of the applicant tracking systems out there will not read the PDF formats. I don't know why. They just do not. They do not pick up the keywords in them. There are some out there that may. I don't know which ones. I'm not exactly sure. There are hundreds of applicant tracking systems out there. There's Talio, Bullhorn, there's PeopleSoft, there's HRIS. There's so many of them. I couldn't tell you which one might be able to pick up a PDF, but I wouldn't try it. That's what I would tell you. The best bet to do is focusing on a Word document. And another thing I would actually do is not utilizing Apple for applying as well. Utilizing Apple documents. Because you got to remember, most companies out there aren't utilizing Apple for their companies because Apple computers are so expensive. How many companies out there actually have Apple in their companies? I mean, besides probably Apple itself. So my thoughts is using Microsoft Office or Word. So what is the best resume format to use? Well, it's a good question. Let me show you. If you really want a really good format and you want to get through an applicant tracking system, now I'm not guaranteeing you that they're going to hire you or get you through to hire you. They may call you in for an interview or they may read your resume. This is the format. It's called ASCII. It's a basic text format resume. What it is like I said, it's basically just going to a notebook on your computer, just a notebook, just notes, and just pasting your resume into the notepad and just pasting it in there and sending it off basically that way. See, as you see here, there's no formatting here. There's nothing. It's just basically black and white. No formatting, nothing. It's just basically black and white, simple, straight down. This is an ASCII format. This is the basic format that any resume company that would tell you to use if you want a surefire way to getting in your resume through the applicant tracking system. Now, there's no guarantee that you're going to get called for an interview, but it may get you through the applicant tracking system. So let's look at the other questions here. How to write your resume without a professional. I mean, realistically, the best way to write your resume without a professional is doing your research, looking online, looking at some of the resumes that are out there. There's Google out there. There's a lot of Google out there, looking at some of the keywords, looking at the job descriptions of what they're looking at. Like I showed a lot of you earlier, the job descriptions give you the keywords. I understand they're not, right there and saying beep beep beep, I'm right here. Hey, I'm right here. Pick me, put me in your resume. But if you understand what they're exactly looking for, if you know, hey, this is a marketing job. Now, anything that's connected to the marketing piece in that job description, any keywords that are chain linked to that within the job description are more than likely your keywords. Like I showed you guys earlier, anything that is going to be attached to it are going to be your keywords. So the applicant tracking systems there is no specific number that is going to give you, that is going to say you need to put three marketing words in this section. or 6 marketing words down here in this section, and that's going to be enough. If it was that easy, we would all be doing it. The only way for us to figure it out is for us to call the actual company that's hiring and actually built that description itself and say, hey, let me ask you, what keywords did you put in that description? And they're going to be like, really? Click. I can't tell you that. You know, it's a mystery. It's kind of like Scooby-Doo here in the mystery machine, you know. So, I mean, so at the end of the day, we have to figure it out. You know, the best thing to do is to hire a professional, because we're going to help you to get through to those. But the applicant tracking systems aren't Freddy Krueger. They're not Jason Voorhees. They're there set in place as a set standard to keep people that aren't supposed to get through out. So that way HR is not inundated with the wrong type of people that shouldn't be applying for those jobs. Now, does it make errors and keep the right type of people out of the job? Absolutely. But if those people had good resumes in the first place, they probably make it through and they probably have a job. But some of those people are not doing a good job, and maybe A, they're not hiring a professional, B, they're not setting their resumes up correctly, or C, they're missing something. So the applicant tracking systems are looking based off of the amount of keywords, the amount of years of experience you have, the overall encompassing of your document, how well it can read it, and it's also going to look at basically the overall way of your document. I mean, it's going to look at everything within your document. If it can't read anything if it can't even read the first page of your document, or even the first your name, it's going to stress it out, and it's going to basically tell you, sorry, good luck. I mean, you got to understand, these applicant tracking systems have not caught up to the technologies that we may have today. So you got to think some of these applicant tracking systems may still be based on the DOS era. So they're probably built on intranets. And with that being said, they're not necessarily built on the effect that realistically they're going to be able to accept all these exotic resumes. So if you have a picture of yourself in your resume, that's going to get you rejected quickly. Okay, because one, unless you're going for a job as a model, we have strict rules over here in the U.S. against discrimination. So if you have a resume that has a picture on it, take that off. We can't have those on the resume. That's going to get you rejected really quick. 2, if your name is up in your header, fix that and put it within the actual resume itself. Okay, so 3, let's go back into some of these other resumes that I wanted to show, because I think that those will give you another understanding. No, not the right one. Okay, so yeah, this one's good. Okay, yeah. See how my pictures up here? This is a no-go. See how I've got my information over here? This is not going to work because I've got columns over here. So when this parses an applicant tracking system, all this stuff is going to shift to the middle of the page. And it's going to look like just a big thing down the middle of the page. And the applicant tracking system is just going to get stressed out, and it's just going to reject it quick as can be. So this is one of those just exotic resumes. And not only that, but look at this. It went from the second page to where there's almost no data here to where, oh, there's more data here on the third page. Well, what happened? It's just going to look at this and be like, this is weird. And it does this with these exotic resumes. So I recommend not utilizing any of these exotic resumes. You need to go with more of the professional style resumes. Anything that looks too good to be true is probably too good to be true. So all right. So on average, it takes about 3 to 6 months from start to finish to get a job, and you have an 8.3% probability of getting a job interview from one job application, explains Flex Jobs Career Coach. It means it can take as many as 10 to 20 applications to get one interview, and on top of that, it can take 10 to 15 interviews to get one job offer. A 2018 study also found that it takes job hunters an average of 5 months to land a new position. During this time, a job seeker will typically edit 4 versions of their resume, write 4 cover letters, submit 7 applications, and participate in 5 job interviews. These figures seem to align with the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which found that average duration of employment as of December 2020 was 23.4 weeks. So, did you know, on average, each corporate job offer attracts 250 resumes. Of those candidates, 4 to 6 will get called for an interview, and only 1 will get the job. So, if your resume is not set up right, you're not getting the job. You're not even getting called for an interview. That's all I got. Any questions? Who's got questions?